Call to order this meeting of the Susquehanna Township Board of Commissioners. I would note that all commissioners are here and that we did meet in executive session to discuss matters concerning litigation, personnel, and real estate. We'll lead off with a Pledge of Allegiance, followed by a moment of silence. And for the pledge, I'd ask Commissioner Engel to lead us tonight.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you for coming, everybody. One quick item of business before we get on to our the reason I think that most of you are here, and that is we have a public hearing tonight. This is the last meeting of the year, and we need to adopt the budget for 2020. We did put it up for advertisement last month, and so tonight is the chance for citizen input on the budget that's proposed for the year 2020. So at this point, we will have a hearing allowing any comment that you may have on Ordinance 1910, which is the 2010-2020 budget and tax ordinance fixing revenues, expenditures, and the tax rate for the year 2020. Is there anything I neglected to mention, Mr. Solicitor or Manager?
I would just make part of the record by reference the advertisement of the budget hearing as well as the 2020 tax ordinance, which was published in the Patriot News on November 19th, 2019.
Okay.
Just one additional item for the board. To date, we've received no comments on the proposed budget or specific requests to inspect the budget. In addition to those public notices, the budget has been available for inspection since November 18th of 2019, both in person here in the office as well as online. So, and to date, we've received no comments.
Okay, thank you. At this point, does anybody care to address the board or speak on the 2020 budget that's been drafted by the Budget Committee and approved for advertisement? Nobody? Okay, hearing none. I hereby close this. Do you have anything to add, Mr. Sanderson? I hereby close this hearing and move on to other business. Petitions, complaints from citizens. Does anybody wish to address the board on an issue that's not on the agenda tonight? Or that may be? No comment tonight? Okay. Approval of minutes from our November 14th, 2019 meeting.
Second.
Moved in second. Any comment? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Recognitions and presentations. Let's start off with our Public Safety Director and our Fire Marshal. Please come to the podium and express some.
Figure it out.
More or less.
Mr. President, Commissioners, I would like to call up Jared Smith and Kristen Smith. There's a third individual who couldn't make it tonight, who played a critical portion in this structure fire, and while they came from different directions, they did different things together without hesitation. They definitely saved lives and property. So what I'd like to do first is read Mr. Rodriguez's citation first to kind of tee it up, and then we'll go ahead and hit the Smiths. So first one is a life-saving award, structure fire, possible entrapment for Mr. Luis Rodriguez. Incident was 18 November 2019 at 17:55 hours, 37-1 box. Township units were dispatched to 3909 North 6th Street for a structure fire with unknown entrapment and multiple calls. Mr. Rodriguez was one of the first callers. He was driving his commercial tractor trailer north on 6th Street Witnessing the flames coming from the front porch, he safely parked his semi-truck, grabbed his fire extinguisher, and emptied it on a sofa that was fully involved in fire. When the extinguisher was emptied, he then pulled a partially burning couch away from the structure. Mr. Perez's actions allowed Mr. Jared Smith and Mrs. Kirsten Smith to reach the front door and alert and rescue an 11-year-old and 2 toddlers from the structure. His actions averted what would have been a devastating fire. That kind of tees it up for that half. Let me also point out that it is a full-size sofa on the outside of a property that was built in 1901. It has vinyl siding on it. There is a roof to that porch, and they had siding melted all the way to the top. So the timing element, if their actions weren't done, it would have been a different outcome for when the fire department, when we first got there, without any question whatsoever. And these are close to the same. Life-saving award, structure fire, possible entrapment, Mr. Jared Smith and his mother, Mrs. Kirsten Smith. Incident number F19-0011-23, 18 November 19, 17:55 hours. Township units were dispatched to a structure fire, 3909, with unknown entrapment and multiple calls. Mr. Smith, Jared, was one of the first callers coming home from working at the Giant Foods with his mother. He witnesses flames coming from the front porch. As a passing truck driver, Mr. Rodriguez was attempting to extinguish a fully involved sofa on the front porch. Mr. Smith pounded on the front door, alerting 11-year-old of the fire. He was then assisted by Kristen Smith and rescued an 11-year-old and 2 toddlers from the structure. They were then taken to the safety and warmth of their vehicles. His actions and his mother's actions averted what would have been a definite devastating fire and probable loss of life. And with that, here are our life-saving awards. This is an example of 2 separate parties not knowing anybody, but stopping and doing the right thing that they could do, above and beyond. This family, thank your parents for raising you right, thank your parents for raising you right, as well as your community, as well as Mr. Rodriguez. One of the things that he said was, I would have hoped somebody would have done the same thing if it were my kids in there. And there's smoke detectors on the outside of buildings. So their actions, without a doubt, saved the lives of 11-year-old and 2 toddlers. I mean, 2 toddlers, one's 2 and one was barely, not even 1. So, again, thank you very much.
Chief, before you go on, of course, I just got to say something to the Smith family. I just got to say, I remember working with, I worked with your husband a long time ago, I guess even before they were born, and reading the story, I read the story on Facebook, but knowing Big Jared, I wasn't surprised to read that that's something that his son would have done, because I know Big Jared, and that's the kind of guy he was. Jared's actually, how tall is he? He's a really big guy, 6'11". The nicest guy you would ever want to meet. I mean, he's like a gentle giant. But that's something that Big Jared would have done. And I know he's proud of you guys, because I read it on Facebook, and he just said how proud he was of his family and what you've done. And I just want to say congratulations.
Congratulations, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you. Members of the board, we have a very special night tonight as we wrap up a very long year, and a year in which the officers worked exceedingly hard. And I just want to note my appreciation to all the officers and staff publicly. As you know, we tightened the belt and did some things for the township this year that needed to be done. And as it relates to the police department, all of the credit goes to the the officers and staff that work 24 hours a day and keep this township safe and remain vigilant. And along the lines of that vigilance, we have a very special recognition tonight into our Wall of Honor induction. And I want to call up retired Detective Michael Thornton. Mike? Before I read Mike's plaque, I really don't need to read anything that's prepared for Mike. I had the honor of working with Mike for over 2 decades in this police department. And he's a native son of this township. And the officers that work today carry on a legacy that men like Mike Thornton built decades ago. And when I think of Mike Thornton, I think of a police officer that every day he came to work, he gave everything he had to this township. When he crossed over those white lines, he gave it all. There was no laziness. He had a tremendous work ethic, and that's what resonates with me to this day. So, Wall of Honor, in recognition of the work performance, integrity, character, and contributions to the Susquehanna Township Police Department, Detective Michael Thornton is inducted into the Susquehanna Township Police Wall of Honor to serve in perpetuity. Detective Mike Thornton entered into service with the Susquehanna Township Police Department on March 1st, 1985. Detective Thornton distinguished himself as a self-motivated and dedicated patrol officer. Detective Thornton grew up in Susquehanna Township and continued his education at the University of Eastern Kentucky, where he earned his bachelor's degree. Detective Thornton's hard work garnered his promotions to both traffic safety officer and detective. In the Criminal Investigation Division, Detective Thornton distinguished himself as a committed, methodical, and efficient criminal investigator. Mike, it's my honor to induct you into the Police Department Wall of Honor. Congratulations.
Just quickly, want to thank Chief Martin for this honor. It's a true honor, and I appreciate it. It's been a rough year. It's been a rough year. But thank you to my family for the support, Chief for the support, the department for the support, for the officers, everything they've done. Thank you.
Mike, thank you. Didn't really get the chance to work very closely with you because the chief is very protective of his peeps. But I was very much aware of you and your legacy, and it will be long remembered, and thank you for your service. Thank you. Chief, do you have anything else on the agenda tonight?
I have 2 promotions, Mr. President. I want to call up Patrol Officer Calvin Vanderpool. Officer Vanderpool entered service with us in September of 2013. Since that time, he's exemplified himself as an outstanding patrol beat officer, as well as a field training officer. He's been the recipient of numerous awards, and has distinguished himself in the patrol division, and it gives me great pleasure to recommend his promotion to the rank of Patrol Officer First Class. And I just want to read the promotion certificate because it's, when we speak of men like Mike Thornton and all of the officers that are here in this room, outside looking in, and all across this nation, with the weekend that we just went through and the amount of officers that we've lost, the nobility of this profession should resonate with every American. So to all those who shall see these presents, greeting. Know ye that reposing special trust and confidence in the patriotism, fidelity, and abilities of Calvin Vanderpool, we appoint you to serve as a patrol officer first class, given under the hand at headquarters Susquehanna Police Department, 12th day of December, in the year of our Lord 2019, and the 243rd year of the independence of the United States. And with that, my recommendation for his promotion.
Mr. President,
Mr. Engel.
move to promote Officer Vanderpool to Patrol Officer First Class.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any comments or questions from members of the board? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Congratulations.
Calvin declined to give a statement. We have a promotion to the appointment of detective. I'd like to call up Patrol Officer Kevin Scott. Officer Scott entered service in our police department in May of 2003. He's a previous recipient of the Officer of the Quarter on 2 occasions, life-saving medal, numerous letters of commendation, and he's presently, his focus in his position is forensics, as well as our evidence room. And I just want to say this, that in that respect, Officer Scott has immense talents. And he's on the Dauphin County forensic team, so he gets called out across the county for major crime scene investigations and the processing of those crime scenes. And he has always represented this police department and this board in a fashion that's becoming of what we have our expectations of. So again, I'm just going to read this again. To all who shall see these presents greeting, know ye that reposing special trust and confidence in the patriotism, fidelity, and abilities of Kevin Scott, that we appoint you to serve as a detective, given under my hand at headquarters Susquehanna Police, 12th day of December, in the year of our Lord 2019, and the 243rd year of the independence of the United States. And I recommend the promotion of detective of Kevin Scott.
Mr. President,
Yes, sir.
I move to promote Officer Scott to detective.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Okay. Any comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Congratulations, detective.
Mr. President, that's all I have. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank
Very
you.
well done. Appreciate it.
We're going to exit for some cake.
Understood. Thank you. Carry on.
Congratulations, gentlemen.
Congratulations, buddy. All right, take care. Congratulations.
Doing good?
Congratulations.
They don't want to sit around for
You know how to clear a room, Mr. President.
There's a lot of oxygen here now.
Mike Nelson's there. Bye.
You sure you don't want to leave too, Ben?
Oh, can we?
I'm just making a joke. I said, you sure you don't want to leave too?
You have to get reappointed first. Russ, you leaving? Russ, you leaving? Okay.
I know. It's surprising to me, too, that no one wanted to hear the stormwater presentation.
All right, moving on. Buildings and grounds, reports of committees.
Thank you, Mr. President. The Buildings and Grounds Committee met on December 2nd. We discussed upgrades to audiovisual equipment in the meeting room, this room, and in our conference room. Upgrades to the audio equipment have been authorized to replace the loaner audio amplifier we're currently using, and wireless microphones, and also to add speakers to enable folks on the dais here to be able to hear better what's going on in the room. As a result of that meeting, the staff's going to work with local companies to obtain revised cost estimates based on our discussion, for video aids in the meeting room and improved teleconference equipment in the conference room. We talked about putting 4 video monitors in this room connected to computers so that if someone brings a set of plans or whatever, they can be put up on those screens for everyone to see. We also discussed repairs or replacement of the display on the township sign in front of the building, which doesn't work anymore. But we didn't have cost information on the various options, so we'll be pursuing that as well. Also, an update on the solar project. They were working on connecting the solar panels on this building to the grid, and they discovered that this building and the school next door are on the same power feed. They need to turn that power feed off to do the connection. So we had to coordinate with the school to find a day when it would be okay to turn the power off. So that's going to happen on the day after Christmas, December 26th. At that point, we would expect by the end of the month to be actually running on solar power and feeding power into the grid, but we may not be fully up until PP&L finally signs off on the arrangement. On the highway maintenance building, they're working on the interconnection application with PP&L, and once they hear from them, they'll be able to move forward on the permitting process and begin to install the solar array there. So we're moving ahead on the solar project. And that concludes my report.
Good. I do have a picture here of the committee meeting, if anybody's interested. It's one man working, and you and me and Dave looking, watching Tom work.
That's right.
It's an awesome picture. We'll post it on the website. Okay. Budget and Finance. Do you have anything, Commissioner Sanderson?
Move to adopt the budget. Second.
Aye.
Mona's silver-tongued order. Tonight, we did have a hearing on the 2020 budget, and that's what Commissioner Sanderson is referencing here. There was no comment. It was on display for 20 days, I think, for public display. At least 20, south of 30, and we got received no opinions on it one way or another. So it's out there, it's set to be acted upon at this point. There is a motion on the floor for the 2020 budget's adoption. Is there any other comment or questions before we move this to a vote?
Well, I have I don't know if it's a comment or an observation. We're talking about doing a budget, and I took a look at the budget. We have, this is based on a projection, not the actuals, because we're not at the end of the year yet. But one of the things I think taxpayers should be aware of is that based on our budget last year, we came in $476,000 under budget on our expenditures last year. That's a result of our staff working very hard to find ways to save us money, whether it be on printing costs or, a whole variety of things. So I think the taxpayers, when we're looking at a new budget, ought to know that we are really watching the dollars here. When I say we, I think the commissioners are doing that, but more so the staff. So thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Well put. Any other comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
No other report.
So one other item, just the actual tax ordinance. I don't know if that was incorporated or understood to be incorporated in your motion. I
No,
don't know
you're
if
right.
you
It should
wanna-
be a separate line item.
I don't know if you
Move
want
to adopt the adoption of the tax ordinance, implementing the budget. Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Jump ball. I don't know who got that, Janine. Okay. All right. Any comments or questions on the tax ordinance motion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Public Works, Commissioner Napper.
Yes, Mr. President. The Public Works Department report for the month of December. Public Works Department performed maintenance on the pumping stations, sewer lines throughout the township. Public Works also continues their efforts to develop the Boyd and Logan Park walking trail, and will resume in January. As a reminder, the township leaf collection schedule will end December 23rd. All residents are encouraged to utilize the Susquehanna Township compost facility, Dig My Earth, for leaf collection after December 27, which now brings us to the winter season. We'll now prepare for the snow and ice removal. The Public Works Department maintains more than 100 miles of township roadway and alleyways. Our snow removal process will begin with major routes, then residential streets, cul-de-sacs, and alleyways. Mr. President, I ask that our township residents be patient with our Public Works Department during this season. This ends my report, sir.
I'm not sure that was in the form of a motion as much as imploring a request.
Begging.
Order.
Be patient.
Yes.
Demand a decree. Cause.
How's that, Mr. Spriggs? Oh, man.
Nailed it.
Come on.
All right.
Stop the
Finish it
landing.
up, or I'll see you outside.
Thank you, Commissioner. Health and Sanitation, Commissioner Robarczyk.
Thank you, Mr. President. Penn Waste will not be conducting a yard waste collection in the month of December. However, they will conduct a Christmas tree collection both on Saturday, January 12th and Saturday, January 19th. Residents are asked to place their trees at the site of their regular waste collection, whether it be the curb or the alley, by 6 a.m. on those dates. Please do not place Christmas trees in plastic bags, and be sure to remove all lights and ornaments. That concludes my report. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Administration Personnel, Commissioner Napper.
No report, sir.
Thank you. Police, I know you've been busy, Fred, but do you have anything else?
Nothing further.
Thank you, sir. Fire and EMS, Commissioner Fleming.
We did 2 life-saving awards tonight.
Mm-hmm.
That'll be the report.
All right. Recreation, Commissioner Johnson.
No report.
Thank you. Planning and Zoning, Commissioner Rothrock.
Thank you, Mr. President. There was a Planning Commission meeting on the 25th of November. There was DGS was supposed to attend, or at least it was on the agenda, but they did not show up. But we discussed a preliminary final land development plan for constructing a 3,000 square foot office building on Lingelstown Road, corner of Lingelstown and Cumberland Avenue. There was quite a long discussion, particularly on the difficulty of installing a sidewalk on that site because of the grade of the road versus the grade of the site. We didn't really come to a conclusion on that. It was left that the staff would work with the developer to try to find an option that would be presented for consideration at a later meeting. So no action was taken. There also was a zoning hearing board meeting on the 4th of December. It was a continuation of a hearing regarding Harrisburg Gardens. And there were witnesses from the community that spoke, and then Mr. Niles, the plaintiff, I guess, called a number of witnesses, and the hour got very late, so the hearing was continued on to January 8th at 6 p.m. That concludes my report.
Okay. Very, very good, thank you. Bids and agreements, fire apparatus for sale. What's up?
Sell it.
Is there a second?
Respectfully request to go ahead and sell the 2011 brush truck. We don't have a need for it. It hasn't run a call in the last 2.5 years. And even when for the calls that it did run in for the years before that, there wasn't a use for it. The first engine company put the fire out with small fires. As far as fire protection goes for Susquehanna Township, Lingelstown has what they call a rural interface unit, which is a heavier vehicle than what we have. Right down the street at Lingelstown, Dolphin Middle Paxton Township has purchased one, as well as Summerdale. So for response time profile, we're in good shape. We don't need to duplicate services. I think it would be in the best interest to put that back into the budget for the capital improvements of the fire service.
Was this the truck that was bought, you said 2011, right?
Yeah, so originally it was purchased in 2002, and then we re-chassied it and put a new pump on it in 2011.
Was that purchased in part with gaming
No.
proceeds?
No, the first gaming vehicle that we purchased was the tanker 37 for $300,000.
Okay. Good. So you're looking for authorization to dispose?
Sell, yes.
Right.
Move to sell.
Sell sounds better.
Motion and second. Any questions, comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
So just to be clear, we're
You go ahead first.
yeah, we're seeking authorization to advertise for sale. So we will be bringing ultimately an offer back to you for your consideration. That's all.
George, I hate to put you on the spot, but I didn't have a report, like I said. Can you tell us when the fire truck will be coming around? Well, Santa Claus will be coming around?
Yes, it will be the 23rd this Saturday, or
Which Saturday?
The 23rd.
No.
Saturday.
I think it's
21st.
Saturday.
21st.
I'm sorry.
No, that's all right. I left my phone back there.
21st.
So the Progress and the Edgemont area will be the 14th.
Thank you.
The Uptown area and this area here will be the 22nd.
22nd.
Thank you.
Thank you. I thought you had a direct line to Santa, so that's why I
It is
asked.
also on our it is also on our webpage, and it's also on the fire company's webpage, and we pushed it out to the school as well.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Plus signs are up.
Merry
Yes,
Christmas.
in the Times. Thank you.
Signs, yeah.
That's both signs.
All right, thanks, George. We have a contract proposal for a landscaping and maintenance service contract. Proposal is from Davis Landscape LTD. Mr. Kratzer, you want to?
Sure, I can provide
Dan?
additional information. Again, this is for mowing, shrub maintenance, spring cleanup, mulching, cleanup, and lawn care applications. This is a renewal proposal from Davis Landscape. Pricing is provided to us under a CoStar contract. The scope and pricing is identical to the pricing that we had in 2019. We've been very happy with the service that has been provided by Davis and are recommending entering into the renewal proposal. If there's any questions, I'd be happy to address those further.
Okay.
Move to approve the agreement?
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Any comments or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We also have before us the janitorial bid services, authorization to advertise and release the bid for submissions.
Move.
Second.
Second, any comments or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Ordinances, resolution subdivisions. Resolution 19R28, authorizing the execution of agreement for electronic access to PennDOT systems.
Yes, as noted, Mr. President, members of the board, this is a PennDOT form resolution authorizing execution of an agreement to permit access to PennDOT's engineering and construction management system. The resolution was before you, as was a copy of the PennDOT form agreement. We are recommending adoption of the resolution.
So moved.
It's been moved.
Second.
Seconded. Any questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Resolution 19R29, appointing Dauphin County Treasurer as tax collector of real estate taxes for Susquehanna Township.
So moved.
Second.
Been seconded. Just need any fleshing out? We had
No,
a candidate who succeeded as a write-in candidate, who was not aware of all the duties and responsibilities and costs associated with being a tax collector, a municipality and training in Dauphin County. Manager Kratzer and County Treasurer Creason both spoke with the candidate who I think got 7 votes, write-in votes, whatever, it was enough to win. And she declined to accept the position, which is why we're renewing our agreement with Ms. Creason. So, all right, it's been moved and seconded. Any comments or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. 19R30, approving a lease to acquire mobile and portable radios for use by police and fire personnel.
So moved.
Second.
and seconded. Any comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Resolution 1931, transferring, conveying, and assigning all rights and title in the Susquehanna Township stormwater system to the Susquehanna Township Authority and authorizing a management agreement governing operation of such between the parties.
So moved.
It's been moved.
Second.
Is there a second? And now we'll entertain some conversation on it. And with us, we have Ben Reed, who's the attorney who's taken charge of this process. So,
Thank you very much. I'll be very brief. This is an important part of the process of empowering the authority to set stormwater fees and generate the revenue sufficient to satisfy permit requirements, the pollution reduction control plan, and general stormwater management of the township. So the authority's articles of amendment or articles of incorporation were amended to allow it to manage stormwater systems, which is allowed by the Authorities Act in recent years. The authority has adopted a resolution authorizing accepting or receiving the stormwater assets of the township as part of a conveyance. The authority needs an ownership or meaningful legal interest in the assets to be able to set rates. The resolution before you would authorize and effect the conveyance of the assets to the authority, and also, as Commissioner Lynch indicated, the authorizing entering into the management agreement, the stormwater management agreement. So a separate motion is not needed for the management agreement. This would take care of all of that. And then following this, we will record a deed, and the authority will be taking action as early as January to set rates, and it'll keep moving in that direction. Happy to answer any questions.
anybody have any questions of Mr. Reed? This is essentially what the authority adopted, I believe it was last week.
Yes, it's a very similar resolution.
There's no comments or questions. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you very
Thank you,
much.
Mr. Reed. Okay, Apple Creek Phase 4, and this is a request, I don't know if you want to get into it, Mr. Grubik, to reduce the site improvement guarantee from $17,781.50 to zero, the condition that a certificate of occupancy for Lot 113 is not issued until the sidewalk has been installed and inspected by the township engineer.
Sure, be happy to, Mr. President, members of the board. Mr. President, you just basically read what is being proposed. A little bit of background. The developer stole my thunder.
Sorry.
The original developer, Triple Crown Corporation, no longer owns the lot in question. They have sold the lot to Keystone Custom Homes and are requesting that they be released from the improvement guarantee. There is a section of sidewalk and some related erosion control facilities that are associated with it. Since Triple Crown no longer is involved in the development of the lots, they wanted to be released from the improvement guarantee. And in subsequent discussions with both Triple Crown and Keystone Custom Homes, we recommended that the certificate of occupancy for lot number 113, which is the remaining lot in question, not be issued until the sidewalk is installed to the satisfaction of the township. And both Triple Crown and Keystone Custom Homes have agreed to that stipulation. So actually, we're recommending that the site improvement guarantee for Triple Crown be reduced to zero, with the understanding that the certificate of occupancy not be issued until that particular sidewalk is installed and the lot is developed. And I think in this particular case, the township actually has a significantly more protection, if you will, if it's done this way as opposed to under the normal improvement guarantee process. So I would recommend the action be taken.
How is that noted? Is it recorded on the deed?
It's not recorded on the deed. It would be a township, within the township minutes, and it's understood that at the time the building permit would be pulled, it would be noted on the building permit process and ultimately for the certificate of occupancy issuance.
Just want to make sure that if that's developed out years down the line, somebody, oops, forgot.
It will be done.
President?
Move to approve the reduction.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any comments?
Is this the only lot that doesn't have sidewalk, Bob?
Yeah, it's the only lot left on that particular street. And as I mentioned, Triple Crown Corporation did sell all of the lots. They developed the property, but they sold the improved lots to Keystone. So this is
For
lot
some
one.
reason why they didn't, if they put are some of the other lots undeveloped other than the sidewalk and?
The sidewalks are in for all the lots that are developed. This is the one right on the end of the street, and it's the last lot left.
So that's why it's not,
That's why it's not been developed, correct?
And it is zoned residential, and it's envisioned for a residential purpose.
Yeah, they're actively marketing the site. So.
All right, it's been moved and seconded. Any other comments or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Unfinished business, is there any?
There is no unfinished business to report, Mr. President.
Okay, reports. Mr. Kratzer as manager.
The only thing I would note, just for the board and also members of the public and the television audience, is that the board will be reorganizing this year. The reorganization meeting of the board is Monday, January the 6th at 6 p.m., where there will be commissioners from the 1st, 3rd, 5th, 7th, and 9th wards sworn in to reassume offices. So
That's odd.
just a note for your calendars and for folks.
And I understand we do have a judge secured?
We do. Judge Turgeon will be present for purposes of conducting the swearing.
what was the date again? I'm sorry.
January the 6th, which is a Monday, which is required by the First Class Township Code, first Monday in January, at 6 p.m.
Thank you.
Uh-huh. Monday Night Football. Well, that's why we pooched it up to 6. Okay, anything else, Mr. Kratz?
I have nothing else to report, Mr. President.
Thank you. Police Department, I think we're pretty well covered there for tonight. Mr. Grubik, do you have anything else?
We have a report in the file in your packets. If there are any questions, I'd be very glad to
Very glad to have
happy and glad and willing to answer any questions you may have. And Merry Christmas and Happy New Year.
Awesome. Back at you, big guy.
Thank you for the time.
All right, Mr. Solicitor, anything from the Law Bureau?
I'm not going to be as lyrical as Mr. Grubik, but I would say that on behalf of my partners and myself, I'm very grateful to the commissioners, but also to a number of people who have helped us do our job over this last year, Dave and Nate, Chief Martin, Chief Dries, Betsy and Jill, and our colleagues at HRG. We've done some kind of cool stuff over the last year. We've done the stormwater through Ben, who's done an excellent job with that, along with our colleagues at HRG and Dave and staff. Had a successful result in a significant zoning case. We've helped with the solar project, but I think what the commissioners I know understand, and what people in the audience ought to understand, is that the staff in many small and significant ways moves the business of this township forward every day in small and significant ways that affect the health and welfare of this township. This township is well run, and we're happy to have had a small part in helping to administer that. It's amazing to me that when government fails, it really affects people's lives, and when government does well, it's kind of like a basketball ref. You don't see him, you don't hear from him, and that's a good thing. This township is in good shape, and we're happy to be part of that, so thank you very much.
Thank you for your work.
Well put. It's almost as nice as Bob's.
The Law Bureau always has a lot more to say than the engineering department.
Bob, I'm with you on that. I thought we had a 3-minute limit, y'all.
I remain chastised.
I was going to say something about the limit, but I didn't want to infringe on the law bureau.
That's right.
And the law bureau withdraws all its comments.
Believe me, it took everything in me not to say anything about the 3 minute. Okay? So, but
Marshall,
thank
do you have
you.
anything? Until she did.
Yeah.
All right.
She did.
School Board, Commissioner Fleming?
My report is just going to consist of congratulations to the new school board members. Their December meeting, they just took the opportunity to reorganize. And so we have 3 new school board members, Mr. Michael Cohen, Ms. Kyla Harvey, and Ms. Julianne Newell, who are serving. And we have a new president, school board president, Jesse Gant, and a new vice president, Alicia Vogue. So we wish them success, and we look forward to continue to working with the school board. School board member Dietrich is in attendance. If he has anything more to add, you feel free to do so.
I do, if I may.
Please.
Yeah. I'll try to keep mine to 2.5. You covered my
At
first.
least we don't put a clock up the way you're doing your.
We've never clocked you, I don't believe. If we have, I apologize. You covered my first 2 bullets here that I've already provided my notes to Jolene. I'd also like to thank the outgoing board members.
Yes, Mr. Sussman. Yeah.
Mrs. Belante, Mrs. Long, Mr. Sussman, Mark Sussman, Shannon Belante, Jessica Long. Mark was 8 years, Shannon was 5+, Jessica was 4. They will be greatly missed. So I appreciate their service was outstanding. Did you cover the multimodal grant for the sidewalks last time?
Last time, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So that's I had that on my notes here as well.
What was the amount on that, John? 200.
The grant itself, the grant amount award was $170,921. We have an estimate here that we already had, and I was talking with our engineer here earlier. I believe we're good to go ahead with, I believe it's Lobar. We went through the KPN network, the business office here went through the KPN to solicit those bids, and I believe it's Lobar will do the work, and I believe their bid was $248,926. So $170,000 for the grant. There's
right.
$50,000 on the MOU as this whole conversation started.
Oh, there was a clock on that, sorry.
There was a
4-year clock.
Assuming we can reset the clock on there. So the district would probably be, looking at $30,000 of funding for the trees and the sidewalk, but it will be.
No, that's great. Congratulations on that.
Yeah.
Joe.
Yeah, good job.
Thank you.
And thank you all for your patience of waiting for the grant. We certainly appreciate that. And the only other thing I wanted to mention, our facilities planning committee, we've completed a number of steps. We just met here just a few days ago. We've completed a number of steps of due diligence towards our building capacity issues. And I know we've talked some about this, so I'll just give you all a heads up that I think we'll be reaching out to the Board of Commissioners here soon in the near future to essentially meet with you, bring you up to speed with our status, and get some guidance and help and support on where we see this needing to go.
Great. Look forward to
So
that.
that's
Chuck.
it. All right.
And if you'll indulge me, John, just one additional minute. I would be remiss if I didn't acknowledge you and your smart, steady, rational leadership as president of the Susquehanna Township School Board for the 5 years that you did so. 4 years? I mean, it seems like an eternity at this point.
Maybe not in a row, but it's probably been 5. Yeah.
When you assumed that mantle, we were in really, really bad shape. The school district was in a tough spot. And you made difficult decisions, particularly early on, as we were embroiled in litigation with a former superintendent, and really made the hard choices that needed to be made early in your tenure to get us on the track that we're in now. And I just want to thank you, not only as a resident, but a taxpayer, a parent, and really, as importantly, a friend, for steering us in the direction you have. Without your leadership, without you being the president of that board and doing the things that you did, we are in a much different place. So thank you very much for your service. I know you're still going to continue to serve, but your stewardship as president of that board cannot be overstated. And I just wanted to take an opportunity to tell you that and thank you on behalf of every parent and taxpayer in this township that we are indebted to you for your service. Truly.
Thank you. Those very kind words. I am, just so everybody's clear, I'm very happy to be taking another role and being supportive. I'm very happy that for the new leadership. And Jesse Gant would do a fantastic job. He was the vice president, as you know, last year, and basically was. Many of us had the eye, and that was kind of the plan, that he would one day step up and take over as the chair of the board. So, but I'm very happy to maybe have some more free time of my own. So
Yeah, and he's taking the helm at a much more desirable spot, thanks to you.
Thank you.
So,
Yes.
Amen.
All right.
Ride your bike more. Yeah.
Thanks.
Thank you, John.
Thanks, John.
And Mr. President, that concludes my report.
Thank you, sir. Authority, Commissioner Sanderson?
Thank you, none.
That
You
is
mean
what
we-
words?
I'm not a nun.
Not even a free sync tonight. He's trying to keep his entire meeting under 20.
You must watch out football.
Yeah, good luck.
In the beginning.
Indian wheels.
No report, thank you,
All right.
Mr. President.
Shade Tree,
No report, thank you.
Communications.
No report, Mr.
right.
President.
Community Economic Development, Parks and Rec. Anything new there, Commissioner?
Oh, yes, I'm sorry. You saw this online, so I'm just gonna read it. They are now, no, actually, summer 2020 job applications will be available online January 1st.
Ah, wow. What? Quick
For summer program. I just read that on.
Already thinking summer. I like it.
Yeah.
I like it.
And that concludes my report.
Thank you very much. New business. Our 2020 meeting schedule. It's in this, in our packet, and we need an authorization to advertise.
Second.
Been seconded.
Just want to, Mr. President, there are three
Yes.
dates that just wanted to talk a little bit about to the extent that there was modification of the schedule. So two of them relate to this body. The Board of Commissioners' April 9th meeting is Holy Thursday, and the December 10th meeting is Hanukkah. So just wanted to make you aware of that and see if there was any desire to modify. The April meeting is a little bit more challenging because the day before Holy Thursday is Passover, which is also the normal date of the Recreation Advisory Committee. So those are three dates that we just wanted to make you aware of, and to the extent that you want us to modify your schedule, we would do so, but wanted to have a conversation on that.
Mr. President, the first two dates I was wondering, and I'm sorry, I kind of lost track of that third date, but whether we might be able to bump up a week. I don't know if that's the desire of the board, but both being religious holidays or holy days, what have you, I wonder if we might be able to do that. I don't know if anybody has a problem with the first Thursday rather than the second Thursday on those 2 months.
I don't.
That wouldn't conflict with any other meetings, would it?
It would not conflict with any other standing board or committees or commission meetings, so that would be an option. And then in terms of outside groups, we don't really start taking reservations until we've established our own meeting schedule. So I would imagine that those two dates, just based on the normal dates, so that would be April 2nd and December 3rd would be options for the months of April and December.
I would be.
Okay with me?
Yep, fine with that. Cool, consensus.
Do you need a motion?
We have a motion on the floor, right?
I did. Modify the motion to make the edits as discussed.
Second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any comments or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
And then the other one relates to the rack. We can push that to April 1st if that's okay. The RAC has no objection to that either. There was really no guidance that we got on that. But that would be the first Wednesday versus the second Wednesday. So we can follow in that vein if that's okay as well.
Do we need a motion?
If you would, that'd be great.
So moved.
To make the modification for April 1st for the RAC, yep.
Seconded. Any comments or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
That's it for calendars. Boards and commissions, zoning hearing board appointment.
Mr. President,
Yes, Justin.
I'd like to make a motion that we nominate Beryl Kaur to serve on the zoning hearing board.
Second?
Been moved and seconded. She is an incumbent. She was appointed about 6 months ago. And
Yeah.
she wrote a very nice email that saw recently.
Doing a really good job, too. She's
Solid
Very
member of the
good.
community. Okay, any questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. 2004 Ford Explorer, authorization to transfer title.
Yes, so Fire Marshal Dries, if you have anything to add, please feel free to jump in. But as the President has noted, we're seeking authorization to transfer the title to Progress Fire Company. The vehicle was initially purchased by the township with monies provided by Progress Fire Company in 2006 via the federal surplus program. At the time, Progress did not have an account, in essence, set up with the program. So the township's account was used, and by virtue of the township's account being used, the vehicle was titled to the township. The title was supposed to be transferred back then from the township to Progress, but it was never done, and Progress is looking at disposing of the vehicle. So prior to the disposition of the vehicle by them, we're seeking authorization to make the transfer of title from the township to Progress.
So moved.
Second?
Second, any comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carries. Mr. Miller, we have some third ward issues to deal with.
Yes, it is my understanding that Mr. Martin Williams, who was successful in the most recent election cycle, has notified the county and the Department of Elections that he, because of a change in his job status and his need to travel, will be unable to fill the position of commissioner in the third ward. Given that he has provided notice both to this board and to Dauphin County, it would be appropriate to have a motion to declare that seat vacant for the upcoming term.
We need it's been moved. Second. We need a motion or a resolution to that effect?
We
Or
need
is the voice vote?
The motion's fine. The resolution is to appoint. If you appoint someone, you need to do a resolution.
All right, there's a motion to accept the resignation by Martin Williams of Daybreak Circle. Good guy. Shame we're going to lose him, but we have the prospect of doing even better.
I agree.
Can we have some discussion on that?
Now's the time.
This motion is to declare the seat vacant.
Motion is to declare the seat vacant. Any other comments or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. We have a vacancy coming up January 1st. What can we do about it, Mike?
Well, if you have a candidate in mind, if that candidate would be willing to accept that nomination, then you could approve a resolution to appoint a commissioner for the vacant term of office for Mr. Williams, effective when Mr. Williams would have served. So if anyone wants to nominate someone.
Mr. President?
Commissioner Barczyk.
I'd make a motion to adopt Resolution 19R32, which would appoint Mona Johnson, 3rd Ward Commissioner of Susquehanna Township Board of Commissioners, commencing the first Monday of January 2020.
Second.
Second.
Moved and seconded.
I got it.
You only got 3 seconds.
Oh, wait, I forgot. Second.
Let the record show that Commissioner Engel went harumph second.
Good day, sir.
Any comments or questions?
Yes, Mr. President,
Yes.
I'd like to thank Commissioner Johnson for her willingness to continue her service. The vacancy was created, and I look forward to working with her again.
Thank you. I guess, do I get an opportunity to speak at this point?
3 minutes.
Only if you don't say no.
Well, you guys haven't finished the vote, but actually, I'd just like to take an opportunity to thank my fellow commissioners. And at this point, that's all I'm going to say is thank you. I just want you all to know, all seriousness, because you know how much I joke around. I really appreciate this. And I thank you guys for even wanting me to continue to want me on the board. I'm actually touched. I really am. So thank you.
As Commissioner Rothrock, a famous musician, said, looks like we'll get to keep the band together around for one more set. All right, any other comments or questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Do we note that I
Condolences.
abstained from that vote?
There was one abstention, and that's the 3rd Ward Commissioner. Abstained. Yes.
Welcome back.
Well, thank you. It's been a long time. It's been a long time. No.
Oh, there you go. We're under new business, yeah. Any other new business tonight?
Mr. President, since we were without working sessions for November, and we will be for the normal late meeting in December, I just wanted to put in a couple of requests, as I think another commissioner has done or will do, related to traffic studies. And I've submitted an email to you, Mr. President, as well as Manager Kratzer and Chief Martin, related to possible speed bumps or stop signs on Redwood Street, on Shield Street, and on Larry Drive. I explained the details in an email to you, but I would just like to make requests for studies in those 3 cases. Thank you, Mr. President.
Mr. President. Go ahead.
If I may, may I? Yes, sir. I'd submitted, as Commissioner Pine said, information to Chief Martin as well as Manager Kratzer. We received requests for traffic studies for speeding on Herlock, as well as the 4100 block of Green Street and the cross streets there, Parkway and Herlock. And I've received several complaints about that area too for vehicles exceeding the tonnage posted. So we have tractor trailers going through that area. And just note, I've been seeing them a lot on Montrose and Edwin as well. So we've been having a lot of truck traffic cutting through the neighborhood where it is posted. So just to bring that to your attention. And I understand you're already looking into it. Chief, thank you.
Mr. President, in following Commissioner Pine's requests, considering that we won't have a normal meeting for this request, Chief Martin, would you consider a traffic study for Maple Street from Progress Firehouse all the way out to Wood Street, as it is well covered and well traveled by officers now for intervention? But I have heard numerous questions and requests. Regular truck traffic and car traffic seems to use it as a speedway. So I think the request is for traffic calming suggestions rather than a traffic detail to issue citations. The long-term considerations are in mind. Thank you.
Chief, I still have to get you an email on the 36 and Colonial rolling stop issue that the residents there have been noting. School bus stop, and any thoughts you can give. I'll get that to you tomorrow. Anything else for new business? Okay. Next, approval of report of bills paid.
Mr. President,
Yes, sir.
I move to adopt the report of bills paid for December 12th, 2019. $1,470,983.85.
Second. And second. Any comments?
It was a very good year. Thank you all.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Before we go to, the motion carries, Janine. I think it was unanimous. Whoops. Drop your pocket. I skipped over commissioner comments. Does any commissioner have a comment?
I do. Oh.
Shocking.
Actually, I just wanted to wish all my fellow commissioners and everyone else a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. And if you celebrate Hanukkah, a Happy Hanukkah.
Thank you.
And that concludes my report.
That's the way it is. Anybody else?
Don't forget the full moon, 12/12 at 12/12.
Well, thank you.
To see that out there, it is awesome.
That was this morning.
Got his meds.
Festivus?
None.
Festivus.
12/12.
Yeah, man. Come on.
Come on. Okay.
Come on.
Is there a motion?
So move to adjourn.
Second. Anybody else
He's
want
all
to?
befuddled tonight.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We are out of here.
Adjourned.